Soldier 11 is one of the most mysterious characters in Zenless Zzzero, being the only character in her faction, the Obol squad. She seems to know Anby and she also cares a lot for Inky the cat. There is even some kind of connection with Soldier 11 and Nicole, which you will understand better after watching this video. With all of these mysteries, I couldn't help but do some research. Now be aware that nothing is confirmed and some of these topics will mostly be speculation. Let's start with the Obol squad, which Soldier 11 is a part of. Usually in Zenless Zzzero, it seems like most factions starts out with 4 or less characters. Now whether or not this will change in the future is another story, but it seems to be the same for the Obol squad. Soldier 11 happens to mention exactly 3 other characters as her comrades throughout the game, and the first character we have met before. When you do Soldier 11's agent story, you will eventually run into some trouble and Soldier 11 asks you to contact her squad. You somehow get a hold of a person from the Obol squad called Trigger. Now we know a few things about Trigger. She seems to work with Soldier 11 and we also know her voice.
I see you.
Trigger seems to be using a sniper as her weapon, and Trigger seems to be working well with Soldier 11, showing their great teamwork. Soldier 11 also mentions this later in the game about Trigger.
Trigger says I'm the target of our weekly psychological health report. I think I've caused the captain some trouble.
So it seems like Trigger works closely with Soldier 11, confirming they are probably in the same squad and that Trigger cares for Soldier 11. The second character that we know of is Obol squad's captain. Soldier 11 actually mentions this captain countless of times throughout trust events. When you walk into Soldier 11 at the arcade, she mentions that her captain says playing video games is one way to improve her combat skills. They train one's concentration, endurance and ability to fast for long periods, and that it is a low-cost, high-reward training method. She then says that she is going to report to this captain with the intel she obtained from the arcade. The next time she mentions this captain is when she wants to rent a movie from you. You end up watching a movie with Soldier 11 and she finally mentions this captain's name, Captain Magus. This time Captain Magus told Soldier 11 to watch a movie to learn some combat skills. So it turns out this Captain Magus is a pretty chill guy that tells his soldiers to go play games and watch movies. You also eat noodles with Soldier 11 quite often, where she mentions that Captain Magus's taste is not bad, implying that he probably ate noodles with her before. Soldier 11 also mentions in a zzzero event that she told Captain Magus that she will keep acquiring combat merits and become the strongest soldier. Then apparently the captain replied with, "She is just trying to prove something to someone," while Soldier 11 doesn't understand what exactly he meant. It sounds as if Soldier 11 is trying to prove to someone that she is a strong and dependable soldier. And the last thing we know about Captain Magus is something that Soldier 11 says in a trust event. While Captain Magus is a great instructor, she admits that they don't share the same taste in noodles, asking how many years it's been since he had a bowl. Now my only issue with Captain Magus is, in the English version the text and audio states a different name, so it is quite confusing what this captain's name will be in the end.
I have no idea why Captain Brujas would order us to watch this.
I even turned the voice from English to Japanese, and this time it turns out to be another completely different name.
どうして鬼火隊長がこの映画を進めてきたのか、本気でわからないわ。
Onibi Taicho, which means Captain Will-O-Wisp in English. Just like Soldier 11, this is probably just a code name. The last known member of the Obol squad that Soldier 11 mentions is when you meet up with her at the noodle restaurant. You end up ordering super spicy noodles with her, and she mentions that she used to recommend food to her teammates, but only Seed listened to her. He is an intelligent construct. So we know that the third member will be called Seed, and that's the only time I've ever seen Soldier 11 mention this character, unfortunately. I did realize that they completely locked out Soldier 11's third part of her story, and you also can't complete Soldier 11's level 4 trust event, saying that it's not available yet. So that's why everything is so incomplete right now, but we still have a lot of other information outside of Obol's squad regarding Anby, Inky and Nicole, explaining more about Soldier 11 too. When you use Anby and Soldier 11 together, Soldier 11 calls out to Anby when Anby gets attacked by an enemy, and you swap out to Soldier 11.
Anby!
This usually only happens between characters that knows each other or is in the same faction. This implies that Soldier 11 and Anby has some kind of past relationship that we haven't seen yet. There was also a video recently where Soldier 11 was doing a mission alone for the military and she got into some trouble. Then there is a person speaking through her mind trying to guide her on what to do. She mostly didn't listen to this person, and when you listen carefully to this character's voice and look at the hairstyle of this person, this basically confirms that it's Anby.
The defense force to mind their own business!
Think it through. Stay put. Try not to provoke them.
This is a pretty big thing because it indicates that Anby was somehow working together with Soldier 11, or maybe she was her teammate at some point in the military. As some evidence, if you look at Anby's profile, it states, Anby's behavior and combat performance suggest that she had military training. And when you first meet Soldier 11, you have a code phrase that you use, Flame Thunder. This is very interesting because it kind of indicates Flame as Soldier 11 and Thunder is Anby, and Soldier 11 still uses this code phrase till this day, having some kind of attachment to her. Anby is clearly not a part of the military directly anymore from what we can see, and Soldier 11 mentions that she despises traitors multiple times throughout her story and trust events, indicating some kind of bad experience in the past that she had. It gives me the feeling that Anby left the military for a reason and Soldier 11 holds a grudge against her potentially and feels betrayed, but I could be wrong. There is a lot of evidence to the connection between Anby and Soldier 11 where Soldier 11 hates things that Anby likes. They always seem to have different preferences when it comes to food. Soldier 11 loves noodles and hates burgers, while Anby loves burgers but doesn't like noodles on her burgers. Anby and Soldier 11 also looks quite similar, which could mean they are related to each other somehow, like sisters, or maybe they are androids for the military. They also share the same fighting style, meaning Anby either trained Soldier 11 or they were trained by the same master, or maybe if they are androids they might just be programmed this way. At one point when you tell Anby that she reminds you of a drill instructor, she says, "Perhaps it's because I have done something similar once in the past." She then asks you if life is always this hard or is it just when you are a kid, and tells you that she got reminded of an incident. It was during that dark time when I met Billy and Nicole. We don't know much about Anby's background story, but when you look at her profile, it says that rumors suggest Nicole found Anby near the ruins of the old capital and took her in because she was impressed by her combat abilities. And this is where things gets even more interesting regarding Nicole. When you look at Nicole's background story, it states that during her early years, Nicole spent a good amount of time in an orphanage. Eventually she got adopted by a prominent family, meaning a family that's important or well known. Yet, shortly after, she reappeared by herself and has been on the streets ever since. Now you are probably wondering, how is this related to Soldier 11 and Anby? The answer is actually in Soldier 11's trust event, giving us 3 hints to this. Soldier 11 lost some classified documents and asks you to help her find it. Eventually you find this document for her, and she immediately tears it into shreds and burns it before you even get a chance to look at it. Soldier 11 then asks you if you noticed any of the contents of the document while you search for it, and you answer no. She then gives us some hints regarding this document as a cliffhanger in 2 sentences. First she says, "How a senior officer's daughter chooses to live her life is a personal matter and shouldn't be exploited by others." Then she goes on with, "You have likely seen her frequently on TV. I simply want to emphasize that their fingernails hold no particular significance." Now there is 3 huge hints from these 2 sentences. Number 1. It is a senior officer's daughter. Number 2. You have likely seen her frequently on TV. And number 3. Her fingernails hold no particular significance. When you think back throughout the story, Nicole appears on TV quite a lot, and she is the only character that has fingernails standing out from all the current characters. She even talks about her fingernails when you AFK with her in the game.
My nail artist said this color attracts money. I'm not gonna go bankrupt if I break a nail, right?
She is the only character we know of appearing on TV with fingernails standing out, and Nicole was adopted into a well-known family, so if my theory is correct here, she got adopted by a senior officer from the military. This also explains Nicole's suitcase looking like a military weapon. This weapon is highly advanced and it has an emblem on it saying, "Open your eyes to see," with this emblem looking like a military emblem quite similar to Soldier 11's Obol squad's emblem. This means Anby is potentially protecting Nicole as a bodyguard, and that's why she had to leave the military. This is the only theory that makes sense to me between Soldier 11, Nicole and Anby, but please be aware that I could be wrong if Soldier 11 is talking about a different character that we haven't seen yet with these 3 hints. And then we have Soldier 11's relationship with Inky. This one is easy to miss and forget, but it's actually pointed out by Soldier 11 at the start of the story between her and Inky. You woke up one day with some messages from Soldier 11 where she tells you that cats can sense danger. Captain Magus once told us of his experiences at the field hospital. There was a cat in the hospital always lying on the bed of critically wounded soldiers. Those he chose to lie by would soon pass away. I've been noticing this black cat down in the alleyways behind the arcade. Let's find some time to go and check on this cat together. I have a duty to protect civilians in the event of any real danger. You then go meet Soldier 11 and she mentions that Captain Magus told her his theory about that cat at the field hospital. There was nothing spooky going on. The deceased often run a high temperature before passing away, and cats likes warm places. Now wow, that was a sad story but also a really wholesome one at the same time that I honestly don't remember until I went back through my recordings playing the game. It turns out Soldier 11 takes care of Inky because she believes that Inky will show her when there is something wrong with a civilian or any danger. Let me know if you have any different theories about all these interesting stories regarding Soldier 11, Anby, Nicole and the Obol squad in the comments down below. Peace out.